Hello everyone, this is Jennifer Biedermann from Biedermann Jewelry. Welcome back to another tutorial. I've been really busy making designs with beads and wire, and I'm so excited to share it with all of you. Today we're going to be doing these ropes, but I do want to show you a couple of things before we start because this is what's going to be coming up in other videos. I came up with this design today, but I want to show you those ropes before. We're going to learn how to do this. I'm not done yet. I'm still embellishing and finishing it up and see what I'm going to do with this. And also for you wire weavers out there, I am going to show you how to do a beautiful wire weave with a cabochon without a drilled hole. And I'll teach you how to wrap it in a really interesting way. So, and there's so much more. But for today, we are going to be concentrating on these ropes. Now, I started designing something, and I started designing this. And I really love it. I love it, but what happened was I saw that someone else designed this before me, so I stopped. And so therefore, I can't post it. I can't show you how to do it. I can't sell it. I can't do anything. So I won't be showing you that today. Sorry, but I did a little bit of a variation, and we're going to be doing this. And it is complete. It looks kind of the same, but it's completely different. Now, we're going to be using super duos. We're going to be using 11s in a peyote stitch. We're going to be using crystals. And this one I did a little bit shorter here between the super duos, and this one I did it quite a little bit more peyote, and I think I like this look better. This I did it in silver. So the materials you're going to need to do this rope is you're going to need some 11s. I'm using mother of pearl size 11 seed beads here. I am using super duo 2-hole beads. Not sure the color of this, but it's a beige with some other colors in it. And I am going to be using an 8 as well, size 8 seed beads. And for my crystals, I'm using a fire polish. This is a 4mm. It's like a dark bronze. I really love this color. But you can use anything you want. You can use bicones, rounds, other crystals, whatever you like to use, as long as it's 4mm or smaller for this project. Okay, so you'll also be needing a beading needle. I'm using a size 10. I'm using some thread. I'm not using Fireline for this, but you know what? I haven't been using Fireline for a while for a few projects. I'm using this KO thread, which I'm really liking. I really like the beading thread, so I'm starting to use this. And you know what? My beading projects are very substantial. They're not floppy or anything, and I'm really enjoying this thread. But you can use Fireline. If you are using Fireline, use an 8-pound or a 6-pound or anything under 8-pound. And you will need yards and yards of thread. So thread on what you're comfortable with. I have about, I would say, 2 yards on mine, but I'm going to be adding thread as I go. So get your materials together, and we're going to get started with this fun project. All right, so to get started, I have my thread on my needle, and I'm going to start picking up the super duos and the 11s. So I'm going to pick up 1 11, 1 super duo, 1 11, super duo, an 11, super duo, an 11, basically 6 and 6 of each. So alternating. By the way, if you're using super duos, make sure you check both holes before you put them on your needle, because there is a certain percentage that the holes are blocked up, and you're going to have to take apart your project to switch out the super duo, and you're not going to be happy. So check your duos before you put them on. So I've got 5, 6. So 6 11s, 6 super duos. Like this, bring them down to the end of your thread, leaving a little bit of a tail. And what you'll do is sew back through all your beads to create a circle. Hang on to your tail as you're doing this, because if you don't and you pull all the way through, you'll have to do it again. So sew through. Some people tie a knot, some people don't. You can sew back through a couple of times, but what I'll do is I'm just going to tie a little bit of a knot because I'm not going to be sewing through these beads several times. So I don't have to worry about that knot blocking any holes. So tie a couple of good knots just to secure everything. And then I'm going to sew past my knot just to get away from it through a few beads, making sure your thread doesn't get knotted up. And I'm going to exit a super duo like this. Then what I'm going to do, I'm coming out of here, I'm going to sew up through this super duo. So now I'm going to be changing directions. Now I'm going to pick up at this point here. Let me move in so you can see a little bit better. I'm going to pick up an 11. I'm going through the next super duo here, sew through, pick up an 11. So through the next super duo, do that all the way around. And look what happened. I told you to check your super duos, and I didn't. And thank God I poked through that. I usually do check them, but I didn't this time. I just poured them out. Go through the next super duo. Oops. Pick up an 11, go through the next super duo. Now I'm going through my last super duo, and I'm going to sew through a few more just to make sure it's nice and tight. And I'm going to pull, grab it, pull it, and look what happens. You have a little, you can see that. You have this, okay? Now, next thing you're going to do, go through the next 11 here. Now we're going to start a peyote stitch. So you're going to pick up an 11, you're going to skip the super duo, go into the next 11. Pick up an 11, skip the super duo, go in the next 11. Pick up an 11, skip the super duo, go into the next 11. And we're doing this all the way around. And at the end there will be a step up for the to get up into position for the next row. Skip the super duo, go into the next 11. Ooh. Oh, lordy. Pull tight. Now here's my step up, okay? Now I'm picking up my last 11. A lot of people have a tendency to jump into this one. You don't want to do that because you're still on this round. So your next 11 is this 11, and then you're going to simply step up into the next one like that, and then pull. And now you have that. Now it's going to get a little bit easier once you have more of valleys here to put your beads in. So we're going to do this again, do the row again. And you're just going to pick up a bead, skip the bead, put in the next bead, but you're just kind of, you know, just the little spaces here. So do that all the way around. Now it's really going to be your choice how many rows you want to do, but if you want to do it like I'm doing it, I will show you how many rows to do. And the way you count rows in peyote can be a little confusing, but I'll make it easy. All right, going into this one. And now we're getting ready for our next step up, which can be a little confusing. Look, where do I step up? Here, I'll show you. Pick up a bead. I'm going into this one, and then I'm going into the next one. See that second row, it doesn't make the beads too prominent of where you're supposed to put them in, see? So it looks like a first row. So you're coming out of this one, you're going to skip this one, go into the next, skip this one, go into the next, skip this one. Okay, so how many rows? Right now, if I look at this, I've got 3 rows, even though I just did 2, right? So we have our first, our second, and our third. That's how you count peyote. So what you want to do, let me show you this piece here. I hope you can see it in the silver. All right, so you see these beads here. What you want 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that's 5 rows. As long as you have 3 and 2, 2 and 3, 2 and 3. That's what I did with this one. So continue on until you have 3 and 2, okay? And I'm going to come back and show you what to do next. So now that you've completed your peyote rounds with your 11 OC beads, 3 and 2, 3 and 2, all the way around. Now you've just stepped up. Now the next step is we're picking up an 8. Okay, picking up an 8, and we are skipping the lower bead. Oops. Skipping this lower bead and going into the next bead. Okay, now this is really hard to see. Okay. Because I used light color beads. So what these 8s are doing is the bigger beads are separating out the 11s so that I can fit my crystals in. So I'm just expanding this piece with the bigger beads. Go into the next. Now step up, going into this last 11 here, and then going directly up into my 8, like that. Now what I've done is I changed out my dark bronze crystals because I found them a little bit too prominent for here, and I wanted to use these silver, or they're called a black diamond bicone. So I am going to just go into the next 8 with my crystal. And doing that all the way around. Now they are going to stick out. You're going to say, hey, this looks funny. Don't worry. It's going to all come together in the end. Going into the last 8 and then up into the next crystal. And if you can't, just go through the 8 and then sew up through the bicone here. Now I'm going to pick up for the next row the 8s again. I'm going to fill in these sections. So skip the 8, go into the bicone. Or crystal, or round, or whatever you're using. Going into the last bicone, up into the 8, starting a new round. Okay, so this is what you should have. It's all coming out, it's getting wide, but now we're going to cinch it back down. So to do that, I am going to start picking up my 11s again. So I'm coming out of this 8, I'm skipping the crystal, going into the next 8 with my 11s. And as I pull, it's going to cinch everything together. And we are going to recreate what we did over here. So you want to do the 3 and the 2, so 5 rows. I'm really liking these colors. I think this is my favorite. Last 8, and then step up into the 11. Now, what I found when I was doing other colors, and I was doing it while I was watching TV downstairs, and it was a little bit dark, and then I found I couldn't see what I was doing. So what you want to do for each round is you're picking up 6 beads. You're sewing in 6 beads, not more than that, not less than that, okay? And ask me how I know that, because I skipped beads and I had to always take it apart. So now we're doing another round. You're coming out of the 11, skipping the 8, going into the next 11. And you will continue doing this until you have the 5 rows, which I showed you how to count before, 3 and 2. And this is where it's going to start, I found, after my crystals row. So it started getting a little bit hard for me to see. Now that I have the big lights in front of me, I can see it. Now, here is my step up. See, look how confusing that looks. But you pick up your last bead, you know you're skipping an 8, and you're going into the next 11 and the next 11. So you're stepping up. Now, see how it's all coming inwards? What's going to happen? Your next row, it's going to start coming up straight like this one. Look at the beautiful texture. So continue that until you have 3 and 2, and I'll be back to show you what to do next. See how this row just straightened up? See how this is sticking out? Okay, now we're going to the next step. We are coming out of the 11. We stepped up. I have my 3 and 2. And now I'm going back to my super duos. And what I've done is I checked the 2 holes by just poking through this one and then poking through the second one. Making sure they are no holes plugged up. So you're going through, you're skipping that lower bead going into the next 11. Doing that all the way around. Okay, now I'm putting on my last super duo, going into the last 11 and then up into the super duo. Like this. Now I need to get myself, make sure that it's sticking in there where it's supposed to go. Now I need to jump up into the top hole. And now we're picking up 11s. And we're going to fill up all these spaces. I really like this rope because there's different things going on. If I was just doing a peyote rope, I'd get very bored, and that's why I never do necklaces with this, because I get like really bored with the whole thing, even though I really enjoy doing it. But once I get to a certain point, I go, okay, that's enough. So I end up making bracelets. Or I make the bracelet and then I stop and then I put a chain to make a necklace. All right, so now I'm just going to sew through a few just to make sure everything is nice and tight and secure. I'm going to sew through a few beads. And if you want to go all the way around, you can. But what you want to do is just exit an 11 to start the next row. And the next row is the peyote row. So you're picking up an 11, skipping the duo, going into the next 11. Doing that all the way around for your 5 rows. So I'm going to build this up a bit with you to show you the pattern. Oh, really? Really? I've got a knot? Okay. Okay, now I'm stepping up, going into my last 11 here, stepping up into the 11. That. Okay, so I'm going to do this until I see my 3 beads and my 2 beads. Then we're going to do another row of super duos, and I'll be right back. Now that you've done the peyote stitch here, we're going to do another round of the super duos. So super duos all around like we did before. So here I'm going to show you the pattern, okay, because I don't want to bore you with all this. Okay, so here is the pattern. We just did, here, the crystals, we did the peyote, we did the super duos, we did the peyote again, we're doing the super duos. So here is the crystal, the peyote, the super duos, the peyote, the super duos, which is what we're doing right now. Then you're going to do another row of the peyote. Then we're doing the crystals again and again and again and again. So that is the pattern. We started with super duos, peyote, crystals, peyote, super duos, peyote, super duos, peyote, crystals. See that? That's your pattern. So you're just going to keep doing that until the length that you want. You can do a necklace, a bracelet. And so I'm going to let you work a little bit. And I'm going to come back when I'm done. Okay? See you back soon. I continued a little bit here just to show you again the pattern. We started with the super duos, the crystals, super duos. Well, the peyote in between each section. So crystals, 2 rows of super duos, the crystal, and then 2 rows, and then the crystals, and 2 rows. So what I want you to do is just continue on your piece. Do it as long as you want. And once it's done, they really look great. And the texture of it looks great, I think. And if you like this tutorial, you can give me a thumbs up. And if you have any comments, any questions, I'm here for you. I answer everybody. And we'll see you on the next tutorial. So thanks for watching and have yourself a great day.